Automotive Cycle Update.
A quick story regarding silver as I take a bit of a victory lap. CryptoTalk.fm. My name is Leicester. I am your host. Silver is en route to breaking past the $100 per ounce threshold, which is a psychological threshold. I thought it was a good idea to take a victory lap. There's two victory laps. One of the victory laps is the fact that for months, I have on CryptoTalk.fm encouraged you to consider precious metals. And I said that I still feel silver is underpriced, and I recommended that people pay closer attention. And some listened and some didn't. And that's one victory lap. We are now seeing silver continue to rise. And I explained some of the macro factors that are playing in on that. But bottom line, the supply crunch is real. The paper situation, the COMEX and everything else is real. And here we are. But what you may not have known or understood at the time, Warren Buffett, who many believe is one of the, if not the, greatest investors of the time. So Warren Buffett, the story, and it relates to silver in one key way, in the 90s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, he bought his company, Berkshire Hathaway, bought over 37% of the entire supply of silver that was available at the time. I'm talking worldwide. Over 111 million ounces of silver he bought. 3.5, essentially, like 3,500 tons. So can I just have you breathe for a minute and understand, was this guy a lunatic? Was he crazy? Was he out of his mind? He was not. What happened is silver's price at a time was $50 per ounce, and then it crashed down to $10 per ounce. And when it crashed to $10 an ounce, he bought the major dip, and he kept buying, and he kept buying, and he kept buying for almost 10 years. He does a message to shareholders, and he said, look, I think the government, there's going to be a separation in value called demonetization for the government. I've been watching this. I didn't buy it, but I was watching it. Now I think there's an opportunity here because the inventories are dropping, and I think that they're going to need to balance out at some point, that this is going to win. So he goes on major buying sprees of silver at the time. Now, I don't know how much he did or didn't sell. I'm assuming they must have sold some at some point. But let's assume that they didn't sell. 111 million ounces of silver at the time. If they hadn't sold based on silver's current price, that's an easy close to $11 billion, simply because the man was smart enough to buy at $10 an ounce and buy as much of it as he thought was practical when it was $10 an ounce, because he was smart enough to realize that when it's a precious metal of that kind, it was going to go back up at some point. He just wasn't sure when. And he knew that the government was going to screw up and separate in terms of value and unbalance everything such that it would cause significant demand on the back end. The reason I'm sharing that story and why I'm taking the second victory lap, or the first rather, is I want you to understand the thought process behind why I am encouraging people to pay more attention to precious metals right now. It's because, as I said, cryptocurrency is not going to be what you think it's going to be. It certainly is not going to be what it was in 2021, which is a Wild Wild West. That's not going to happen because the Clarity Act does not want it to happen. The banking system does not want it to happen. They will just become boring assets, just like stocks and bonds and other types of asset classes. So with the disruption that's going on with the banking system and the Federal Reserve, plus cryptocurrency not going to be what you think it is and the polar opposite of what you want it to be, plus what's happening international in the Greenland situation, people are going to be looking for hedging. The hedging might be a short-term hedge. All I can tell you is that right now, Silver is $99 per ounce and expected to pass $100, which is a psychological threshold. Estimates put it at somewhere in the range of about $300 sometime in the first half of 2026. If you didn't listen before, hopefully you listen now, and hopefully you understand this is a different world. Cryptocurrency is not what you think it's going to be. It's not. It's going to be a very boring asset class, still worth looking at as an asset class, but not the gambling that it was in 2021. Those days are gone. You're not getting them back. So you're going to see, if you haven't already, you're going to see various YouTubers who previously were all in on cryptocurrency talk less and less about them because they see the same thing that I've been telling you to be the truth. It's just that now they've kind of come to that realization it's not going to be what you thought it is, and you're going to have to think about something different for your investment strategy. And that means that everybody's coverage has to adjust with the new reality until there's a different reality. The different reality is going to be when there's a different administration in the government, period. So at least for the next couple of years, you have to understand that hedging is going to be the focus for people. They're going to look to hedge their bets. They're not going to be doing crazy amounts of investment on things that are volatile. And a lot of the liquidity from cryptocurrency is going to flow into precious metals over time until things shift and change. I'm not telling you to get rid of anything. I'm telling you to diversify and consider an additional asset class that you were not considering up to this point, that being precious metals of varying kind. The other victory lap I'm going to take, and unfortunately, I cannot be specific about this one because there are cowards out there, but I'm going to take a victory lap. It's interesting to me how I can so perfectly predict certain people's behavior, certain people's actions, certain people and the way that they are doing stuff behind the scenes. And certain people got outed and exposed as what I call them to be. And I'm taking the victory lap that I saw it perfectly and I tried to warn people and they listened to Leicester at CryptoTalk.fm. But it turned out to be the truth. And yes, everything I said was true. Start to finish, balls to bones. You had a choice, when I say you, certain people that might be listening had a choice to listen to me over here trying to warn you, the logical one, the conservative one. Instead, you chose to listen to your, quote, highest ranking officer. Your highest ranking officer took a pretty steady amount of money, which they claimed they didn't. They denied being paid, but they were paid. Since they were paid, you understand that Leicester was telling you the truth the whole time. Now you have to understand, since they were paid, what was the motivation? And why would they lie? What did they have to hide? Hopefully, and you know who you are, hopefully the people over there cheering because of a bullshit fake, quote, exposure where they allegedly beat me. Hopefully you understand they didn't have a chance. They had no chance. They already lost. They didn't lose to me. They lost to the guy who's smarter than them. As I told you he was. He's smarter than them times 10. You won't beat him because you're being led by jack-offs who don't know what they're doing, who don't understand collateral damage. And it's possible that I was even right when I said they might be in cahoots. I don't know. But maybe this money should cause you to ask questions. That's all. You should question. You should ask questions. You should be curious. Don't just blindly trust it. Don't just blindly trust it. Remember, I wasn't the one. I didn't take a payout. You just now got documentation of who did take a payout. So who really was your ally the whole time and who was just out there causing collateral damage.